Hello, my name is Avery Taylor, and today I'll be reacting along with you to my 2023 MLB season predictions that I made back in February. If you enjoyed this sort of content, please be sure to subscribe and comment down below what was your take that you had in the spring training that aged the poorest. And let's laugh at my stupidity. So before we get started here, a couple of things. I did stay on this main face cam for a long time. At this point in my YouTube journey, I really didn't understand how to make good content. And I still really don't, but I'm hoping that I improved to some degree. But that's just kind of my little editor's note. There's not a lot of B-roll for me to cut to here just because I didn't use B-roll in the video. But I did start off by talking about each individual team, and then I went into awards and my World Series slash playoff predictions after that. But as we get into it here, if I start with the Yankees, oh, that's not too good because they finished the year what 82 and 80, projected record 97-65. I saw that they added Carlos Rodon, who did nothing. Tommy Cano, which honestly their bullpen was fantastic this year, but overall I think the middle of the lineup didn't hit the same way that we necessarily thought it would. A lot of injuries happened there as well, so it's kind of hard to have the expectation that I had and results that happen, and to really see this, how they got there without counting into effect to the injuries. Next up, I think it was the Orioles I had finishing. Ooh, talking about the Red Sox. Red Sox, I mean, that's pretty close. That is really close. Masataka Yoshida had a great year for his first year in the MLB. But I mean, honestly, that's not too far off. 74, 88, 78 to 84 is their actual records. I mean, that's only like 4 games. That's a pretty good take, in my opinion. Pretty well nailed it. I think I had him a little bit more as a bottom feeder, but that's pretty close for all things considered. Again, pretty close. I expected the Blue Jays to be better, and if there's one thing I remember about this video, we'll get to it later. But oh my goodness, it was something, and we'll have to get to it. But oh man, I really overhyped this team. I just expected this core of players to finally turn the corner after last year's playoff embarrassment, and that was just not the case. Next up, we have the Orioles. I didn't expect the Orioles to take the step that they did. I really like it whenever teams make a huge off-season push, and I didn't see Adam Frazier, Michael Givens, or Kyle Gibson as that push that they needed to make it to that next step, and I thought they'd be really similar to what they were the year prior, but I was wrong. Their rookies stepped up big time. Gunnar Henderson came up huge, and they ended up winning 100 games, being the best best team in the American League, so that's a bit of an L on mine. Another thing kind of went wrong. Again, I like teams that make big moves. Rays never make big moves, and I got punished for it. And I know better. I even say it probably here at some point. I know better, but once again, missed the mark. So I kind of hit or miss on the AL East for the most part. I was missed. Pretty well just nailed the Boston Red Sox. And here is the Guardians. The Guardians didn't do great this year. They actually finished third in their division behind the Tigers, and they really kind of missed the mark at the midseason trade deadline. I thought they have a chance to push for the crown, and instead they got rid of everybody, and it just kind of fell apart. And I don't think that the offseason additions really hit the way they should have, or the way they predicted them to. And kind of the same thing here with the White Sox. That team just fell apart. And obviously, after the trade deadline, they traded away everybody, and the team just could not win games. And we saw that with them finishing with a 61 and 101 record. Here with the Twins, dead wrong. Oh, once again, I was just like, I saw this team as a team that was getting worse, not better. But again, I was wrong. A lot of their pitching carried them through. Sonny Gray, Pablo Lopez was fantastic. I just thought it was a relatively underwhelming offseason, but they did retain Carlos Correa, so that was a big thing, and that helped them out decent a bit. Then some rookies came up big down the stretch. Damn, I had this team as a 100-loss team, which, to be fair, there were two in this division, and somebody had to start winning games. And they actually had a good, decent crop of players that came up and just had sneaky good seasons. and it led them to a second-place finish, albeit they still had a losing record by 6 games.
I did find it humorous that Matthew
So,
found his way back to a massive jump behind
and
their
again, once again, I expected. I saw, they got Ryan Garbo, they got Rich Chapman, Jordan Lyles is a good innings eater. They have Bobby Witt. I thought MJ Melendez would be better, but no. I mean, Bobby Witt was amazing, but everybody else really kind of missed the mark. And 56 and 106 is not comparable. So I really, really missed the mark on the AL Central.
But I do think their total
Houston,
from last year is set to take a hit.
I think I got pretty good. I had them being better than what they were. I guess I didn't cut in. I think in my head that the Texas Rangers and Seattle Mariners would really cut into their wins quite the way they did. I expected them all to be quite successful, and you see that here. The Mariners, I had them actually, I think, I can't remember if I had them missing the playoffs like they actually did, or if I had them like right on that cusp. But I remember I didn't think they'd take that next step. They didn't, and that was great to see for my predictions. but pretty close here, 2 games off. That's a W in my books.
Anaheim is next up on the docket.
And then Los Angeles Angels, once again, failing to really produce behind their big stars of Ohtani and Trout. They actually somehow finished worse than this, despite having those two, even though Trout missed most of the year. But yeah, definitely, I'm going to count this as a miss, 7 games off. That's not, I mean, I think I got the storyline right, but I don't think that's close enough for me to be like, yeah, that's right. This one was close. The Texas Rangers actually took more of a step than I was expecting. Their lineup went absolutely nuclear, top to bottom. People like Jonah Heim, Adolis Garcia really stepped up big time. Obviously, we knew Corey Seager was going to be amazing. Marcus Semien, even Nathan Lau was just absolutely fantastic. Apparently, giving the A's 56 wins was just too much, as they only won 50 games here, and that is really kind of impressive to me because 56 wins isn't a lot to give a team, but it was barely too much. With the Braves, I was pretty close with them, wasn't I? Oh my god, this is my first perfect prediction of the video. Let's go. I got this absolutely right. Nailed it on the head, apparently. I didn't think I was going to get it. I didn't think I'd get any of these records perfectly right, but I nailed this one. Had the exact same record. I think my playoff predictions set them a little bit too far, but we'll get into it later.
Let's talk about
next. National League World Series. We have the Philadelphia Phillies, I believe. Yes, I had them taking more of a step than they did in terms of the win column. But I still think I was pretty accurate with how everything kind of went, especially with how I worded things, how I said things. I didn't think they would pass the Braves, even though they always beat the Braves in the playoffs. I think they just weren't. I don't think they're a more complete team to win games in the regular season. And I think that showed once again. So they only won 90 games as opposed to my 96. I kind of was like a half seed right because the narrative was right, but the record was way wrong. Mets absolutely missed the mark. I don't think anybody can predict them this bad this season, but 92 and 70, not there. Obviously, I thought they had a great offseason. They addressed their biggest need, which was pitching. Behind Max Scherzer, got Verlander, Quintana, Senga. And somehow Senga was the best pitcher in the rotation. No hate to him, but it was his first year in the MLB. Coming over from the, I believe, Japanese league. And that's a tough transition to make sometimes. He absolutely crushed it, and the rest of the pitchers absolutely fell flat. Oof. But that's a bad one.
That's still a good start.
That's a bad
one. However, if there is any team that is
69 and 93, and they ended up making the wild card, albeit they weren't the greatest team in the world, but made the wild card with a winning team, and now have them at 69 and 93.
Stuck in neutral. I think
that is tough. I don't want to look at this anymore. Can I skip forward? National.
Last up is the Nationals.
Ooh, they weren't that bad. They were not that bad. Gamer Candelaria actually crushed it this season before he got traded. He crushed it for them. CJ Abrams played decently well, so I think they had too many good pieces. Lane Thomas as well. I think they just had too many good pieces on the team to be quite that bad.
In the Central, we saw them.
In the Central, at the Cardinals. I know what I said here, and I got it. What I said wasn't wrong.
had a solid
but I
roster
said it for
at the
like I
bottom of the
switched.
weaker NL
So
Central. It is
so what ends up happening is I say the Brewers are going to fall out because of like it feels like they're one or two, like there's like a bad start away from falling apart. Apparently that was the Cardinals.
Normally, the team
My bad.
out on one of the best
Apparently that was the
catchers
Cardinals.
significantly worse.
Because the Cardinals got off to
However,
that
the
bad
additions
start,
of
obviously
Dansby
traded people
Swanson,
away at the deadline. Team kind of fell
and
apart,
Trey
only won
Mancini.
71 games down the
The Cubs
stretch.
are looking to jumpstart their run.
Meanwhile, we have the
I love
Cubs.
that the Cubs decided to be buyers this offseason and not
Perfect.
just wait for their prospects
Perfect
to get
again. Let's
I may
go.
have been a bit too aggressive with this placement, but I think this team
I
finishes
liked their
around
offseason
500
moves. I
and
love
hits
Dansby
83 wins this
Swanson
season.
bringing in Jameson Taillon, and I think it
The Braves
really
did not
kind of
make
came
the
in
move
big
without
for
the
them,
needed to make
especially
to continue to
down the
contend.
stretch, having some of that
Swanson
leadership,
seems like a
winning
really
83
bad start
games,
to
nearly
pull up
sneaking
and
back into the
up,
playoffs.
and that is not
Here
going to
is
be.
my
This pitching staff is
oh, they
really
should be
good.
better, but
Burns
they're
and
not
Wood
gonna
can
be,
compete
or
with
they
the
should be
top
good, but
pitchers
they're
in
not gonna be.
baseball.
This was my
But the
pick
rest
for
of
the
the
NL
roster is
Central.
not good enough to be a playoff.
It was the Brewers.
While they did not
The
lose
Brewers once again
much,
took care of business,
this
winning
season
92
was
games,
something
winning the
different. I think
Central.
they finished right at
But I'm
500
telling you,
with
the
80
reign
wins
is not as
and
secure as we think, and they're going to
Coming in
eventually
first-
fall off. Eventually. But for right now, that was wrong.
And first in my heart is the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I actually sold my own team short, and it's really weird because I think I was the biggest Pirates believer
Not to mention fans
this season after the beginning of their year.
They also made a good amount of
But
effort unclogging
even
the
throughout the year, whenever they were
including
really
trading
struggling,
Allen
like
to right
early
center
June,
field.
July,
However, much like
I
the
was
other
still a
big
big believer in
main
this
roster
team,
lacks a
and
major league
I
talent.
think towards the end of the
Right
year
now,
they were
this is
playing
probably
good
not gonna be on the
baseball,
roster
and
moving
that's
forward.
kind of what
And a lot of teams
boosted them
a
up.
lot of the team's success
I
is
think
on
if you
Marcus
just,
Lewis and Brian Hayes.
if you
In
take
terms of
away
running things
that
in,
hot
Lester's
start, you're
presence
pretty
might
close
not
to
be
what I
felt for
was
another
saying
2
here.
years.
But I think,
Similar to the Pirates,
you know,
the Pirates
they
have a lot
they
of
definitely
talent
showed
on
some
the
growth this
roster,
season, and I'm
but
happy for it
not
as
very
a
much
Pirates
talent
fan,
is
as
at
you
the
can
MLB
tell.
level.
Similar
Their
thing here with the
additions
Reds. I
include
didn't
Bruce
expect them to
Lynch,
take that much of a
Andrew
step
Newman,
this
and Will
quickly,
Myers.
but I knew that they would
Though
get some of
they're
these
not
young guys up
magnificent,
and they
the
would
team
make a
needed to make
difference
it
and
successful
make the
to
team
win.
at least sell more
While it
tickets
is
and be a
void of
better
MLB
overall
level
squad.
talent, there are never pieces in the offseason.
Moving west, I
Don't
had
get
the
me wrong,
Dodgers
this roster is
one
still
game
stacked,
off of
but
being
it's not
perfect
at the
here.
level that it was last
Apparently,
season. This is like a
101
trade
and
target tied to
59
Jose
equals
Canseco. Trade
162.
leaving
It does not,
free agency is
but
never going to be
apparently
a
that's a record I was going to give them.
and the Dodgers did not necessarily
I
make
really
that
liked
record.
some of their offseason additions.
It is
Obviously,
crazy
JD
to me
Martinez
to
was
project the team
fantastic.
10 less
Miguel
wins and
Rojas and
still
Noah
be
Syndergaard, not so
above
much.
100 wins.
And I think they really
Shows
made
us
some
the
questionable
top.
moves
But
at the
that's where we
deadline, or
are
else
with
this
the
team could have been
Dodgers,
a
finishing at
lot
101 and 59.
better.
Also, the additions of veteran pieces like Alonso and Nelson Cruz give that roster that little bit of veteran leadership that can be invaluable.
Oh,
For
man.
me, I'm shooting big for the Padres.
I thought this
As
was the year for the
finally ending
Padres.
the
I thought,
Dodgers'
oh,
reign in
they
West
made the
100
conference championship last
I have
season
to
before.
I wanted to get a little
You know, they
spicy at
finally
some point in this
angst their
prediction,
demons with
and I
the
think the
Diamond
Padres
or
have a
with the
real shot
Dodgers.
to
They'll be the
catch this
team to
season.
boost up and finally take the
The San
crown.
Francisco Giants will forever
No.
confuse me because
No,
they
they
seem like they have
absolutely flopped on their
foresight
heads.
playoff window
But
does not.
I was
There
one
seems
game
to be
off
signs
again
and
with the
pieces that
Giants.
not making the
Oh
difference
my goodness,
they
that's
need
so
for us to
sad.
make the playoff push.
78-84, I thought it was a
brought
really
in
good
Maya
spot
and
for them, and
Hanish,
79 and
who are
83 was
all
their
excellent
record.
pieces
I just
to
didn't
add
think
to
they
the
had the
roster,
star
but when the
power to
roster
really
loses
stay in
its
these
best
games. It's
pitcher,
cute what they
our
do,
goals
trying to be the
consider
Tampa
is
Bay
hard to
Rays,
justify.
but I
I
don't
had the
think they do it
Giants
as well
winning
as the
the
Rays, and I
season
think that's kind of
78
what
and
holds them
84
back.
season.
Obviously, it's easy to say, oh, they're just
Feel
not
like
as
it's on
good,
the
they
verge
won't
of
do
an
as good,
absolute
but like
blow up as the Arizona
they
Diamondbacks.
have to get some
The
star
roster has
power
been
in there,
trending
or else
disappointing for a while now.
or
The
else it
prospect
won't
depth
work.
is not quite
Oh,
where you would like it
my
to be.
eyes.
It is good for the team
My
that they got
eyes.
from the Dalton Varsho trade this offseason, as he could be a cornerstone of the roster for years to come. Other than that, the roster is on thin ice, and I expect some
To be
players
fair,
at the deadline.
I don't think anyone
are the
expected
Colorado Rockies,
what they
who are in
have,
full
what
rebuild
happened.
mode at this point. The moment the team has lost few of its, the team has lost almost all of its MLB level.
And then I
players.
nailed the Rockies.
And
I
think
got
the
it
Rockies are
absolutely
gonna get
perfect.
shelled this upcoming
Oh
season.
my goodness.
I have the Rockies
Oh
finishing
my
with the second worst
goodness.
record in baseball.
That's amazing.
But hey,
I got
at
that
least they have a new
perfect. Like,
lottery
what is, I
system,
got
so
3
if there's a
teams out of
shot to
30
be
with an
first in the
absolute
Central
perfect record.
Central
So that's,
before
I mean,
we get into
that's
the playoffs, let's look at some
fantastic.
regular season awards.
I can't get over I had the Diamondbacks that low. That
Starting
was
with the Manager
horrible.
of the year, I looked for the managers who either did the most with the
Let's see,
least
manager of the
or
year, who
simply
I
had
had.
the biggest improvements.
I know one
I
of them.
think the team that has
I know I
performed
nailed
from
one.
expectations the most, based on my predictions, is San Diego Padres and their manager Bob.
Oh, this was not it. This was not the one.
I really think it was
So the Padres actually were terrible, historically bad
on the AL side of things.
in
Most of my playoff
close games, and that's kind of where a manager comes through. They were historically bad
with the only
this
new member
year.
in the Baltimore Orioles and their
But
manager Brandon Hyde.
I made up for it here. Brandon Hyde nailed that one. He did win Manager of the Year for the Baltimore Orioles, so absolutely crushed that one.
Rookie of the Year is always one of the most fun words.
Rookie of the Year, I don't even want to wait for the American League one because I know it's but National League, I did National League first, so this one was just shoe in. I always tried to go with the shoe in and then a kind of more wild card pick. Drew Waters. Yeah, that was not a good one. That was not a good one. Obviously, I wanted to go a little bit off course. I was like, oh, he's still classified as a rookie. He's still eligible for the award. Let me try it. If he goes crazy, he used to be a top prospect at one point. Give him the chance, see what happens. Here we have Corbin Carroll. I wasn't the biggest believer in Corbin Carroll because I thought the lack of protection in the lineup would really hurt him. But there was enough protection, and he went out there and balled this season. You can't say anything, but I still had him here in Rookie of the Year as my shoe-in pick. Zach Gallen as my Cy Young, which I don't know how I have Rookie of the Year and the Cy Young on the same team, but didn't have them being a 66-win team, but here we are. He was pretty close. Obviously, he either finished second or third. He was right up there, right behind Blake Snell. And then I had Jacob DeGrom coming back from injury, only to injure himself again and lose. Thankfully, Garrett Cole finally won it. He was long time due for it. So finally he won and got his first ever Cy Young trophy. And I think that for sure puts him in that in that Hall of Fame first ballot echelon. Ronald Acuna Jr. What did I just say? Ronald Acuna Jr. as the MVP. I think it wasn't a lock just because he played so poorly the season prior, but I think it was a pretty safe pick, to be honest.
Even if an athlete's ready to play, you can sometimes
and I crushed it, I guess, but it was a pretty safe pick. One of the favorites for sure, if not the favorite coming into the season.
So that left me with the next tier.
And here I'm explaining why I did what I did. I didn't want to go with Ohtani. I didn't want to go with Trout. I didn't want to go with Judge. I thought those are the three favorites. I want to go a little off the radar. So with Vladdy, who had that one great season, and I kind of tied him into this narrative because I wanted to kind of tie this all together. And I talked about how I had the Blue Jays having a great season, and I wanted Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to be kind of the forefront of that, and so that's why I picked him as my American League MVP.
For the playoffs, let's work through the AL.
I don't know why I didn't put this into a bracket for you all. I apologize. But here we have the Guardians versus the Mariners in the playoffs. I had the Guardians winning, which that's not even close. So we can skip through that. Oriole Blue Jays. This didn't happen either. I had the Blue Jays randomly making it to the divisional round, I think.
But I think the Blue Jays are a lot closer than people series. But
I had the Astros losing in the divisional round.
The Guardians have a long history of losing. I don't think it's their team.
I had the Yankees making it to the championship series. I remember this like it was yesterday.
I think the series will be close, but finishes 4-2.
I had the Blue Jays making the World Series.
Oh. We start in a wild card round with the New York Mets versus the Cardinals.
Yeah, that one was bad.
Nuts 1-2 punch. Well, I think the Dodgers used that nuts 1-2 punch to a T and quickly wrap up the series 2-0.
Mets making it to the divisional round.
And Aaron Nolan and Zach Wheeler. This is the after all.
Oh, Phillies making it past the Dodgers.
I have them winning.
Oh, these ones are so bad. I don't even want to watch. It's so hard to predict this. Oh, this is the only series I had right. The Braves. Oh, I had it correct, and then the Braves ended up winning. And the Mets beating the. Did I get a single playoff series correct? The Braves making the World Series didn't happen. Braves winning the World Series. At least I stuck true because I knew I made this pick. Whenever I made my playoff predictions as well. But I think that's going to happen. Or I think that's going to do it. That was awful, but amazing at the same time. Thank you guys for walking down memory lane with me. As stupid as I am. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys like this sort of content, please be sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below, as I said, what was your worst take, your best take, whatever you want to hit me with. Let's have a discussion down below. And as always, hope you guys enjoyed.